Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. But wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know the people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, we are actually running a skeleton crew show, and by that I mean it's just me and the skinny little fucker over here doing this. We are running on the absolute bare minimums tonight. We have got much like the UFC's card, slim fucking pickings this evening, but we were not going to leave you without a show. We have got so much going on this upcoming weekend. We had to be here to break some of this shit down for you. So, like I previously mentioned here, I have got the young gunner, the stunner, the up-and-comer himself, the beardless wonder, the interim new guy. RJ, how you doing, brother?
Beardless, it's coming in. Okay. It's coming in. You can't
It's
say
cute,
beardless.
but it ain't there yet.
Yeah, but you can't say beardless. It's coming in.
It's a starter kit. It's a nice starter kit.
Yeah, it's like an ego twist, man. It's
Yeah,
there.
you just gotta keep twisting. You
just got twisted to
that-
15 and just rock it out.
right? You just gotta get that Play-Doh thing going and just like.
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. It's good to be here tonight.
Glad to have you, brother. Glad to have you. So, Mr. Golf T is off with some family business. We are keeping him in our thoughts as well. Mr. Fresh03 is out in the wild wilderness of the Northwest. Allegedly may or may not be in the process of trying to track down Uncle Chael for us, because we know he is out and about this weekend as well. I don't have any specific details that I can share. All I can say is Uncle Chael better be on his P's and Q's, because if Fresh03 gets a hold of him, Hug City, baby, it's going down. But we have got much, again, like this weekend's UFC card, a very light news week this week. But like we've been doing here, before we get into the news and the fight announcements we have got since we last talked to you folks, I do want to do a quick little recap, on last weekend's UFC 262. I will say this first and foremost, the card turned out much better than it had any right to be. For the most part, every fight that should have been boring as shit turned out pretty goddamn decent. And a couple of them that should have been absolute fucking snooze fests turned into surprising barn burners of their own right. So, jump right out. Talk about a way to open the fucking card. Giagos and Soriano went the fuck at it from the very fucking opening bell. The less than a minute into round two, one of the smoothest sunk in fucking Darce chokes you will ever see in your goddamn life. If you missed it, go back and catch that one. That Darce was so fucking beautiful. It won that boy a bonus. That was one of the performance of the night bonuses, was for that choke, literally to start the goddamn card. Props to both Giagos and Soriano. Soriano was looking like a fucking monster until Giagos wrapped him the fuck up like a snake.
And that is not an easy fucking choke to put in. You have to,
from the way that he grabbed it and rolled. Yeah.
That is one of the more difficult chokes to really set up and to lock in. That was very fucking impressive to watch.
Fuck yeah. And you can see, because they showed that replay a million fucking times in a moment, because that's how they opened the fucking card. But you could see in almost every replay from where they had the cameraman standing, as soon as he latched it in, he fucking clamped before he even started moving to put the pressure on. He locked that fucking grip in. So if he was going to have to work for it, he was just going to be working the body. That grip wasn't fucking going anywhere. That shit was on tight and instantly.
Those are very, very difficult to lock in, and just to get the opening to lock in a Darce choke, that is very, very difficult, and that was very impressive to watch.
Well, and on the same scale, when you've got a Darce sunk in on you that fucking deep right away, there's realistically, even at the highest fucking levels, there's very, very minimal hope you're getting out of that without going unconscious or tapping. Like, you better be a motherfucker and you better break his grip immediately and backdoor out of that motherfucker before he can fluster. Because God damn, it was nice. Props to Christos Gagos, man. That was a fucking show. Closing out the prelims again, one that had no business being as good as it actually turned out to be. Gina Mazzani versus Priscilla. God damn, that fucking shot. That girl landed, and she landed fucking hard. She is, I don't care what the fuck she says. She in no way is any threat to Valentina right now, but that was a nice fucking performance. And then kind of like, sometimes I don't like being as right as I am. And I don't mean that to sound as pretentious as I realize it sounds, but we kind of talked about it a little bit last week. There are certain points where you don't want to be correct, even though you know you're probably going to be. I fucking told you guys last week on the show on Thursday, the fucking prelims were going to be fire top to fucking bottom. Man, the vast majority of the action and the oh my fucking God action during this card last weekend was on the fucking prelims. One decision fight out of 4, and that one decision fight was a fucking battle back and forth for every second of the match. Andrea Lee versus Antonina Shevchenko. I don't know what the fuck happened there. We know Antonina trains with her sister, and we've seen her perform so much better than she did this weekend. Somehow, when they got to the ground, she forgot what the fuck she was doing. She didn't understand how to be offensive. She didn't know basic defenses. She was letting Andrea Lee run the show. And to her credit, Antonina is a fucking monster. She was in such a fucking bad position for like 2.5, almost 3 solid minutes. Never panicked, never freaked out, never got sloppy, weathered the fucking storm, and let Andrea Lee just burn herself the fuck out, looking like an absolute idiot, not being able to finish the all but there setup she had for the better part of an entire fucking round. And then as Antonina was going to finally slip her way out of it, she got caught with the fucking armbar. Antonina is a monster, but she has got to get her shit together or she's never going to be able to take over for her sister. And the problem is when she fucks up like she did this weekend, she made a garbage ass soup can like Andrea Lee look spectacular with that fucking finish, even after she looked like a moron for 3 minutes holding on to a position she couldn't fucking do anything with. Just fucking aggravating. We know the Shevchenko sisters are better than that. We've seen Antonina perform better than that. But for whatever fucking reason, man, she looked like a sack of smashed dog shit this weekend. That being said, there's something to be said about the Beverly Hills Ninja. A poor kid growing up on the mean streets of Beverly Hills. the hard knock life of Malibu, California, and all the treachery that entails. No, Jordan Wright is pretty open about how he had a very, very nice and gentle upbringing, but chose his way into the world of combat sports and MMA and takes it very seriously and moved out to Albuquerque to get his training focused and be realistically guided into this MMA as his future. And it fucking showed. He folded Jamie Pickett like a fucking lawn chair, literally just over a minute into the round. And there was no point in that single minute that Jamie Pickett had any kind of control over that fight. From the moment that opening bell dinged, Jordan Wright was in control and had Jamie Pickett moving and was dictating the pace, dictating how and where the fight went. And then he just landed that beautiful fucking shot, and Pickett just crumpled, man. Just, god damn. Jordan Wright is going to be something to keep an eye on for goddamn sure going forward. Now, that'll bring us to the one fight on the prelims here that did actually go to a decision, but it was a fucking 15-minute grinder of a goddamn fight. Lando Venata versus Mike Grundy. Mike Grundy shot for a total of 20 takedowns during the course of this fight. Managed to secure 3. Lando Venata, in his debut performance at featherweight, stopped 17 fucking takedowns in a single fight and looked pretty goddamn good doing it. If you didn't know better, you'd have had no fucking clue. This was the first time that Lando Venata has ever fought at 145 pounds. He looked just as fucking natural there as he ever did at fucking lightweight. And I'll tell you what, based on the performance he put on against the monster that is Mike Grundy, featherweight better fucking pay attention, because Lando's about to make a pretty big fucking splash down there. I'm telling you right fucking now.
On Saturday, he did. He made a decent sized splash with being able to snuff out chain takedown to chain takedown.
Yeah, like I don't know anybody, like we knew that he had good defense. I don't know that anybody thought that he had stopping 17 out of 20 fucking takedowns good defense. Like there was a couple points where Grundy locked onto him and you were like, oh shit, Lando's going for a ride. No, the fuck he was not. He was going to get squirrely. He was going to bounce the fuck out, and he was going to crack Mike and get away and then go back to being a fucking weird old Lando. Very impressive, man. Very impressive performance from Venata this weekend. Featherweight better fucking pay attention, because he's going to skyrocket up those fucking rankings if that was any indication of what he's capable of down there. Then there's that. This is kind of a two-parter here, much like Jacare's arm. Andre Muniz, however the fuck he says his name, was in a roll with Jacare. He locked on to the arm from the ground up. Jacare was leaning down on his arms, and as Jacare went to pull to his left, Muniz rolled to his right, to Jacare's right, and took the arm with him. And when he did, being the badass that he is, Jacare tried to pull away. The problem was Andre had a real good lock on that arm. Real good. And you watched in real time as Jacare's arm went snap.
The sound was guttural.
It was like hitting an oak tree with a baseball bat. That po. You saw his arm snap, and credit where credit is due. As soon as that snapped, the kid let go of Jacare and looked at the referee like, oh no, this was bad. And the referee came running over and grabbed Jacare's arm. Jacare literally just looked down and went, oh, yeah. We're going to have to get that fixed. In typical Jacare fucking fashion, just kind of slapped it against his fucking side, went over, shook the kid's hand, shook the kid's coach's hand, shook the kid's other coach's hand, shook the kid's fucking water guy's hand, shook the referee's hand, shook the fucking officiate's hand, waved at the crowd with his good arm, Went over, shook the kid's hand again, pat him on the shoulder, gave him a little fucking pep talk, tried to hang out in the ring, to which the referee went, fucking go! He slow walked back down the fucking aisle, back towards the back of the fucking locker rooms, waving at fans, high-fiving, and fucking slapping people's hands with his arm just tucked to his side the whole time. No instance during the entire thing did he ever make the slightest indication that he's in pain. Not a wince, not a ow, not a fucking whimper, not a flinching of his face, never once, smiling and waving as he's walking to the back room like a Jacare do. At one point, when he was standing in the center of the octagon trying to figure out what the fuck was happening, the cameraman kind of like zoomed in on him from the edge, and you literally see Jacare look down at his arm, which has a fucking angle in it at this point, and you see him go, that sucks, and then just look back up and start looking around again like it's an everyday average fucking occurrence, because Jacare.
I said last night, that's on point with that David Goggins unhuman fuckery.
Like, if you saw the video of him and Hoyler where he gets his shoulder popped out of socket and he literally tucks it in the belt of his fucking gi and goes back to competing and wins the fucking match, you knew the level of badassery that Jacare is capable of. But to see and hear it pop so discernibly and watch his arm develop an angle that wasn't previously fucking there, and for him to just be so nonchalant about it, like, that man has got to have a wheelbarrow at home to carry his balls around. Jesus fucking Christ. The bad part that makes it a two-parter here is that we found out today that that was the last fight on Jacare's UFC contract, and that loss, which was technically a loss by submission from the armbar, even though it was a break that stopped it, that loss put him at 0 for 6 of his last 6 and 1 and 8 in his last 9. And with that being the last fight on his contract and being 1 and 8 of his last 9, the UFC did go ahead and release him today officially. They basically paid for his arm to get fixed, sent him back home to Brazil, and then sent him his walking papers once he got there. I mean, it kind of sucks, but it's like a couple of us were talking about the other day. Chris Weidman actually just released a video of him in the whole process from after it happened to the surgery to going home to being at home and actually taking all of the full leg dressing off of his leg and looking at the actual scars and incisions for the first time. And then really for the first time since it happened, like introspectively talking out loud about the possibility that he might never recover from this, because as much as he wants to, it's starting to set in how hard this recovery is going to be, how much this is going to take just for him to be able to get back to walking again. When this happened to Anderson against him, it took almost 3 years before we saw even a glimpse of Anderson realistically, like, quote unquote, training again. And Anderson was like 35 when it happened to him. Weidman's 41, man. And Weidman, on top of being 41 and a hard-ridden and put-away wet 41 at that, he's just coming off of spinal fusion surgery. And then we're going right into this. We might never see Weidman again period, UFC or otherwise. I think there's still a chance that we see Jacare, whether it's in a submission underground or whether it's in like a 1FC or maybe Bellator. I think probably 2 years from now. I don't think this is anytime soon, but I think there's still a possibility Jacare can heal from his arm and then come back to still be somewhat competitive. I'm not saying he's going to come back and take the fucking belt from the young kids or anything. I'm saying there's still a chance that he can heal from his and still make somewhat of a comeback, maybe in a different organization because the UFC ain't picking him back up. But I don't think we see Weidman come back anywhere. I don't think at this point he has just the physical ability in his body with all he's been through to come out of that fucking surgery that was that severe, heal up, then get back to training, then get back to being competitive at the top level of a division that is already, for the most part, passed him by. I think we might have seen the last of both of those guys, which is a weird timing situation for them to have happened in.
Yeah, I mean, like me and you talked about last night. Chris Weidman, he still has options. He's still young enough, but it's still there mentally to train people, to be up on commentary, to break down scenarios for ESPN, for Fox Sports and stuff like that, for fighting.
Anybody with a desk, really.
Yeah, he's still there mentally to the point to where he still has options. He can stay in the combat sports industry, just not glove up again. Which, if that's what happens, I'm not mad at that because Chris Weidman is one of those guys that would do fucking great being a coach, being training people, training the next run of the people that we see in the UFC running for the belt in 3, 4, 5 years.
Right. Yeah, he's absolutely got that potential to be the next Matt Serra, where he was a great fighter and went on to become a great coach. And he, Weidman worked with Serra Longo. He worked with those guys. He knows exactly the path that's been laid before him. I think he could follow the Matt Serra plan and maybe not take over for Serra per se, but open a fucking gym, start Weidman MMA, be a badass coach. Possibilities are there. So we'll see. We would do absolutely wish him a speedy recovery, but we will see where that future goes because right now it's questionable. Speaking of holy shit moments, we opened the card Saturday night with some Mike Tyson punch out shit, like for real. Edson versus Burgos was a fucking battle. Those boys were getting it for round 1 and 2. Then in round 3, one of the craziest things I have ever seen in my entire fucking life happened on a card full of crazy fucking things that were happening. But this one, I think, kind of takes the cake. I have literally never seen this happen in my entire 20 plus years of following combat sports. Edson Barbosa landed a fucking beautiful combo, snappy left, crisp ass right that was on the money. And as he reset, you watched Shane Burgos's eyes go from right on Edson Barbosa to somewhere off in the bleachers just over his shoulder, and you see his legs start to wobble, and then you see Shane just staring at rafters, stumbling backwards like Glass Joe on Mike Tyson's fucking punch out until he hits the fence and falls over, just 1,000-yard stare completely out of it. Delayed knockout on the feet. Edson Barbosa wins. I've seen liver kicks take a second. You've seen bread basket shots where it just knocks the wind out of them and it takes a minute for them to realize that wind's not coming back and then they fall over. you've seen people get clipped where they're out and their legs just don't give up and they have to fall, like Jakar Close did from Beneil Dariush up against the goddamn fence, where the body locks up and you see him watching you as he falls and can't do anything. But I don't know that we have ever seen one quite like this. Barboza landed clean as shit, and Burgos looked like he was going to take it in stride like a champ. And then as he reset and as Barboza reset, you see there's a second, and you can kind of see, and when you watch the replay now, you can see that there's a moment where one of the wires isn't quite connected all the way to the top, and Burgos realizes it, and he tries to play it out, but then you see everything start to just go wonky, and you see his eyes literally just drift as he's trying to get it together, and then he starts falling backwards, and his legs aren't underneath him anymore, and that's all she fucking wrote. One of the craziest knockouts I've ever fucking seen. Props to Burgos. Whew. Excuse me. Got up and was like, what happened? Oh, damn, really? Shit. Good job, Edson. Took it like a champ. Took it in stride. Was good sport about it, but that was insane. That was fucking crazy. The shitty part about a crazy fight like that is that the UFC has a tendency to follow it up with a fucking snooze fest, which they did. Again, one of those situations where you don't want to be right, and inevitably you end up being. We said Araujo versus Chookagian was not going to be that great. It wasn't that great. I think the biggest thing about it that was surprising was that the judges gave it unanimous decision to Chookagian. Even the commentators, even Rogan and DC and Anik, were very surprised that they gave it to Chookagian in the moment. I don't know that anyone that was watching the fight with us saw that Chookagian took that fucking fight, but good honor for getting the decision. Even the commentators agreed that being number 2 and winning that fight is not going to get you another shot at the title fight. Like, you easily have to win 2 or 3 more big fights against big names if you're Caitlin Chookagian to get another shot at that title. And I don't see that happening. We'll see. She definitely got the official W in this situation. I don't know that she really got the win, but the W's on her record. So we'll see where she takes that and goes from here. So that'll bring us into one of the more disappointing fights on the whole card, I would say. Rogerio Bontorin, who, for the record, again, fucking called it, missed weight. We had a feeling he was going to, because he tried to push the fight to a catch weight from bantamweight, even though they were supposed to fight at flyweight. We knew there was going to be a potential issue there. Sure to fuck enough, there was. He missed weight, and he looked like shit. The problem is that so did Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell abso-fucking-lutely gave that fight away Saturday night. Everything was in his favor. Everything was in his corner to just absolutely tool this fucking kid up for missing weight. And he pissed it all away. I guess if there is a silver lining to that, it's that now Matt Schnell gets 20% of Rogerio's win bonus as well. But, man, that fight could have gone so differently, and it should have gone so fucking differently. But Schnell just, I don't know if he set it on cruise control or he wasn't paying enough attention or what, but he gave that shit away. But that'll bring us to the co-main event for Saturday night. Beneil Dariush versus Tony Ferguson. look, I don't give a fuck how many people say Tony's not washed up. Tony still got more left in him. Cool. Let him go give whatever he's got left in fucking Bellator. Tony Ferguson doesn't have anything for anyone in the top 15 in lightweight in the UFC anymore. I've been saying it for a while. Nobody wants to fucking admit it, but the Tony Ferguson that we saw on Saturday night is a shell of the Tony Ferguson that we saw 6 years ago being a badass in the UFC. He isn't that Tony anymore. He hasn't been for a while now, and Beneil Dariush almost broke his fucking knee to demonstrate that. How Tony didn't tap to that fucking knee bar of knee bars, I don't understand. It looked worse when Beneil had Tony's knee last weekend than it did when Oliveira had Tony's arm and he wouldn't tap, and we watched it bend all the fucking way backwards. Beneil basically did that to Tony's knee Saturday night. Same situation. Tony wouldn't fucking tap. There's no denying he's a monster, but being a monster to get ragdolled by everyone in your last 5 fights, it's like a lightweight Jacare situation. Like, I get that you used to be good, but when you lose 5 in a row, bruh. I will say I did hear one thing earlier today that does kind of make sense, though. If they're going to give Cowboy Cerrone one last fight and then let him go regardless, let him run that fucking Tony fight back. Make goddamn sure you yell at him the whole time. Don't blow your fucking nose. But let him get that Tony fight back. Because aside from Cowboy blowing his fucking nose after it was broken, it was a pretty competitive fight. I think that would be an acceptable way, because I really don't think Tony has but maybe best case scenario 2 or 3 fights left in him. I think one more good ass whooping like he took, he's done, period.
Yeah, I don't want to see Tony in any ring, any cage again.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Like
ever
if UFC
since
cut him tomorrow, it would suck, but I would be okay with it.
Like ever since the
Justin.
Well, not even that, but like what really like made it known that just something just isn't right in his head was the Oliveira fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Before that, like when Gaethje tuned him up and he never came back.
Yeah, but like when Oliveira was working the fuck out of him, and then he was like, and then he was like, oh yeah, I was just trying to get in position and just set something up. I didn't lose that fight. Dude, you lost. Yeah. You got fucked. Ever since
you didn't just lose, you got manhandled. Like Charles Oliveira ragdolled Tony everywhere, on the feet, on the ground.
Yeah. Ever since that, like the week after the press from that fight, that's whenever everyone in the world knew that Tony Ferguson, something's wrong. Something's wrong with him fucking mentally and emotionally.
Serious. Yeah.
Because that's not something that somebody sane would fucking say. Something's going on. He shouldn't fight anymore. Open a gym, call it a day.
Open 10th Planet Big Bear.
Yeah.
That's where he goes to do all his fucking training anyway. Goddamn well he is one of Eddie Bravo's most prized fucking black belts. He could get a 10th P accreditation in a heartbeat to open a fucking 10th Planet gym, be a fucking instructor for the rest of his life, make fucking great money, super fucking respectful for the fucking community, and not worry about getting his brain smashed in any more than it already fucking is. But because Tony, that's not what we're gonna fucking see. So we'll
also,
see how that one plays out.
Before we get into this last one, can I just say how happy I am for fucking Charles Oliveira? That made me extremely happy for him.
I'll say this. on a card full of fights that I am making a point to say I didn't want to be right about, this one makes me very happy I was wrong. Because both of those assholes last week made me be the fucking heel because neither one of them would even fucking admit that there was a fucking chance that douchebag had. And he did have a very slim chance, and we saw in the first round. He almost knocked Charles Oliveira the fuck out. Michael Chandler almost did exactly what the fuck I said he had a chance of doing. He tried that bull rush, and he clipped him, and he fucking hurt him, and he hurt him real fucking bad. It almost went down exactly the fucking way that I said it was gonna. And I was so angry at it. I was so mad in that moment. I did not want to be right about that one of all fucking things. And then old Chuck pulled it out of his ass. Charlie Olives took a deep fucking breath, got his head back on his goddamn shoulders, did a little woo-saw action, cleared the fucking cobwebs out, and then 19 seconds into round 2, decided, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. Good night. And put Michael Chandler to fucking sleep. Beautifully placed, perfectly fucking timed, accurate as a goddamn sniper rifle, right on the motherfucking money. And Chandler went down like a $2 hooker on half price. It just gone. His chances were disappeared that fucking quick. And just like that, we have an official new champion of the lightweight division. Charles Do Bronx Oliveira officially has the lightweight championship belt of the UFC for now.
Yeah, I'm like one. I'm in full agreement. Michael Chandler had a chance. He had the opportunity to fucking put Oliveira to sleep because he is very fucking capable of that. If there's one thing that man is good at,
Old rush.
that fucking rush. He has mastered it beautifully.
It's like a tiny white Francis Ngannou almost when he does it. Like he just leans down and goes, and you have to back up regardless. And while you're backing up, he throws at weird angles, and you're backing up and you're trying to dodge. And then when he clips you,
yeah, you're not expecting because you're focusing on everything else. The back pedal, not fucking tripping over your own feet. What's he doing? Watching the fucking legs, watching his body. If he's going in for a takedown, and then that one clip puts you the fuck out. It's a great technique. He has mastered it beautifully to a science because he can do it against 10 people and knock 9 of them out.
right?
But god damn, if I'm not happy for Charles Oliveira. Like I was preaching it whenever me and the missus were in Vegas. The Oliveira Chandler posters and billboards were all over Vegas. And if I wasn't preaching that I want Oliveira to fucking win because he deserves a title, because that man has fucking just hand over hand clawed his way up that fucking division. Beautiful.
They were talking about that 29 fights in the UFC. Started as a featherweight, went to lightweight, back to featherweight, then back up to lightweight. 29 fucking fights. Before him, Jan Blachowicz with 26 fights in the UFC held the longest record for most fights without a championship.
The man fucking deserves it.
9 fights to get to the belt.
I mean, 29 really like that many fights really molds you into this is what I do, this is what I don't do, this okay does this is what I do whenever he steps right and starts to circle out. Like it that molds you into a beautiful, well-rounded athlete.
And the big part is that if you look at that resume of those 29, there ain't many fucking cans on there. They're
No,
pretty much all big fucking names.
they're
So
all fucking
props to
murderers.
Charlie Olives, man. Props to Charlie fucking Olives. The ironic bit is that immediately, literally Sunday morning, he already opened as the underdog against either Conor McGregor or Dustin Poirier, who obviously are going to be who he fights next, whoever wins. But he has already opened as almost a 2-1 underdog against either one of them, and they haven't even fought yet. I'm glad for Charles, but man, I don't think he's going to have that belt very long. I like Oliveira. I really do, but I don't think that strap stays around his waist for very fucking long. That division's got too many fucking killers in it right now, and I like him, but I don't think he can beat all of them. So we'll see. The weird thing is, if we needed another fucking weird thing about 262 was the medical suspensions. Oh, actually, before we get there, fight of the night, Burgos versus Barboza. That was fucking insane. There's almost no way that couldn't have been fight of the night unless you gave it to Muniz versus Jacare. And I understand. Performance of the night, Christios Gagos for that fucking opening Darce choke that was goddamn beautiful. And then Charles Oliveira for knocking out Michael fucking Chandler. So props to there. $75,000 bonuses instead of 50 because they were in Texas and Tony talked shit at the press conference. He got Dana to bump it to 75 grand each. So there was that. But like I was saying, medical suspensions here. This is almost aggravating because we were getting back to where they were somewhat reasonable. Charles Oliveira suspended for 3 weeks till June 15th. Makes sense. He didn't take a whole lot of damage. He got rocked, but that was early in the fight. He came back, dominated. Understandable. But Michael Chandler, who just got knocked out, also only suspended till June 15th. Beneil Dariush, who was in a fucking hell of a fight there, only suspended till May 21st. Tony Ferguson, who just almost had his fucking knee broken and was beaten like a fucking rag doll by Beneil Dariush, suspended till May 25th. No doctor clearance required. Edson Barboza, who just knocked Shane Burgos the fuck out, suspended until June 30th. Shane Burgos suspended indefinitely. Andre Muniz, suspended till May 23rd. Understandable. Jacare, suspended indefinitely. Here's the real fucking weird one. Rogerio Bontorin, who missed weight and then essentially just back and forthed it for 3 fucking rounds, suspended until May 23rd. Matt Schnell, the one who made weight and didn't look terrible but just gave the fight away, suspended indefinitely. Lando Venata, May 25th. Mike Grundy, June 30th. Understandable. Andrea Lee, May 23rd. Antonina Shevchenko, who she was in there with and she got the tap for, suspended indefinitely. Jordan Wright, May 23rd. He only fought for a minute and a half. Understandable. Jamie Pickett, the guy that he knocked out, the one he folded like a lawn chair, June 15th, 3-week suspension. Christios Gagos, May 23rd. Understandable. Sean Soriano, the guy that he choked into unconsciousness, May 23rd, a week suspension. What? You had 2 people who were knocked out who got less than a month suspension, let alone not the 6-month minimum. You had someone who gave a submission and suspended indefinitely. You had someone who essentially could have won their fight but didn't take any damage in it, and they're suspended indefinitely. And then the one person who did get knocked out and then woke up and was cool about it, suspended indefinitely. What the fuck is going on with Texas's fucking commissions? Fuck. So, from there, run down the couple of little pieces of news we did get this week. The first one I was going to talk about, we already kind of mentioned. Jacare is officially been released from his contract with the UFC. 1-8 in his last 9 fights after the arm break submission loss to Muniz. So that sucks. In that same vein, though, we also found out today that Diego Sanchez has officially ended his professional relationship with Joshua Fabia and has revoked any of the previously signed powers of attorney that he had over him, and then enrolled in an athletic brain study to try and win good graces back with the UFC. I'm pretty sure that bridge is fucking burned, but at least it's good for Diego to get away from that fucking lunatic. We did get word officially today. Former UFC veteran Alan Belcher has officially come out of retirement and signed a multi-fight contract with BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. He also posted a video of him training in his yard, so there is that, because Belcher looks like he is in pretty fucking good shape right now. He has not competed professionally since 2013, where he lost his last official professional match to Michael Bisping. But this could get real interesting real quick with Belcher over there. As big as he is right now, I think he might be fighting at heavyweight, even though he was fucking middleweight back in the day. I think he's a lot bigger now than he was back then. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. We got announcement confirmed yesterday. PFL's event number 3 will officially take place on June 17th and will be headlined by Rory McDonald taking on Gleason Tebow. As weird as it is to say, Gleason might be Rory's toughest competition in his division in PFL this year. I don't know that that's going to make it interesting enough for most folks to be able to sit through it, but I think that might be his toughest competition in PFL this year. 2 more fight announcements we got this week. The first one for the July 31st UFC event. Jin Yu Frey is stepping back in to take on Ashley Yoder. They are really, really trying so fucking hard to push Ashley Yoder down everybody's throat. But she, ironically enough, is about to that same tier that Jin Yu Frey is. So I think that's actually a pretty good matchup. If they're going to insist on pushing both of those ladies, it's not really going to get them the traction. But if they put them head to head and then really push the winner, we'll see. We'll see. The last fight announcement we did get this week, though, was actually just released this morning. August 21st UFC event has added Mark Madsen versus Clay Guida. I don't know how many more fights Clay Guida has on his contract, but we got to be getting pretty fucking close to that point.
Yeah, like that's another one that's just a shell of who they were.
Yeah, literally. And that one sucks because Clay Guida is another one of those living fucking legends. Like, he's in the Hall of Fame for a fight, not as a fighter, but for one of his fights, because they're that fucking crazy. I know he's going to end up as a fighter in the Hall of Fame eventually, but to have a fight in the Hall of Fame while you're actively still fighting kind of says something, in my opinion. That'll bring us to the last thing that I want to talk about real quick here. The last little piece of news that we got that I want to mention before we get into some breakdowns here, because this kind of shit really pisses me the fuck off. A while back, the last time we saw him out, Rafael Alves missed weight by 11.7 pounds. And then tried to blame it on some bad salmon he had the night before. Well, we got an announcement yesterday in an interview that that was not actually what fucking happened. So one, fuck you for being a liar. Then we find out what the actual truth of the situation was. Rafael Alves's wife had a miscarriage. It's not anything that I would ever wish upon anyone. I've been involved in 3 of them myself, and they are not easy to deal with, and they are not something to take lightly. When Rafael Alves's wife had a miscarriage, rather than telling the UFC, my wife just had a miscarriage and we need to take some time to deal with this, he literally just stopped training and started eating junk food in an attempt to gain enough weight that he hoped the UFC would just cancel the fight. Which is why when he came in and weighed 11.7 pounds over the limit and the UFC was like, what the fuck? He was expecting them to cancel the fight. So instead of being a professional and having a legitimate, understandable fucking reason to postpone or pull out of that fight, he lies about it. And then he lied about it and he missed weight. And then he lied about why he missed weight. And then he fought like shit. And now here we are, I think it's 8 weeks later, and he's trying to tell people that that's not him anymore, that now he's back to the old him, that he's good, that he's focused, that he's going to be on weight, and everything is back to normal. And I do not remember the last time that I wanted to see an individual get punched in the fucking head and knocked into unconsciousness more than I do with this individual right here now. If you're so much of a fucking scumbag, piece of shit, low-life fucking worm that you can't own up to something this fucking serious and just be there for your fucking wife, that you're going to play these fucking little kid games and then think that because that happened and now you're talking about it, everything's good. Don't even think about what happened. I'm going to be the same fighter I used to be when you guys liked me again. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Fuck you, you piece of shit. I hope he gets knocked the fuck out. I hope the UFC cuts his fucking contract. And I hope he gets in a fucking car crash on his way home. Not dead, just fucking mangled so that nobody else has to watch you fucking fight anymore either. You fucking scumbag. That being said, that'll bring us into Bellator 259 taking place tomorrow night. The bad part about Bellator 259 taking place tomorrow night is that it's being headlined by Chris Cyborg versus Leslie Smith 2. Another rematch nobody fucking asked for. Now, that being said, there are still a few fights worth mentioning real quick on this card. Because we did have one fall out. We did have one get added to the main card that was originally a prelim fight that no one generally would have cared about with good reason. But now they've moved it to the main card so that everyone has no choice but to watch the dumpster fire that this is going to turn out to be in Valerie Loretta versus Hannah Guy. The fight's not going to be entertaining, but the post-fight will be. I'm telling you right now. That being said, this card also has the bantamweight feature fight of Darian Caldwell trying to get back on the right track, taking on Leandro Higo. Wrestling match like a motherfucker. If that's your cup of tea, keep your eyes peeled. Unfortunately, there is one on there that they just will not shut the fuck up about that we I guess might as well fucking mention real quick. Another one of those situations where you've got siblings and one of them is talented and one of them has a big fucking mouth. Bellator, ironically enough, has this great habit of picking up the talented of siblings in that situation here. Great example, Sergio fucking Pettis, strap holder baby for a fucking reason. Talented Pettis brother. The other big mouth one is fucking limping around, stepping on his own dick over in PFL right now, like a fucking, shit show that he is. But this one that we're talking about in particular here is Fabian Edwards, the more talented of the Edwards brothers, taking on Austin Vanderford, excuse me. Mr. Van Zant, as it were. I'll say this. Austin has done well with all of the soup cans they have put up before him so far. This is probably the highest talent level they have ever let Austin Vanderford even look at since they signed him to Bellator. Whether that turns out to be a good thing for him or not, we will have to wait and see. I don't think it's going to be. I think Leon's brother is going to beat the shit out of Paige's husband, and I'm pretty stoked to see that actually happen if it plays out that way.
Yeah, I want to see his fucked up face all over TikTok.
I really want to see him trying to fucking stand behind her in Instagram videos with giant sunglasses on because his shit's all fucking meat mashed.
That would make me very happy.
That would make me smile so
I
fucking
fucking
much
hate
more than
both
it
of them.
should, but it will.
I fucking hate both those bitches.
I hate him so fucking much. But that will bring us to the main event for the evening over there tomorrow night. Chris Cyborg, the current champion for what that's worth, taking on the next contender, I say with air quotes, because she's not even the number one contender. She's just the next contender for them. Leslie Smith. Now, these two fought years ago, and it wasn't a great fight back then, but it went exactly how you thought it would. And now here we are years later, and Leslie Smith is forcing herself back up essentially to featherweight, where she's been trying to fight down in the bantamweight and even strawweights a little bit over in the UFC times. So now that she's back to Bellator, she's going for the featherweight, and she really thinks that her and Cyborg are going to be a matchup. And not only that, but that she's going to be able to beat Cyborg now. No, I don't see anywhere in the fucking world Leslie Smith has a chance here. I don't see anywhere she has a chance. I think Cyborg's going to beat the shit out of her. I think she's going to do it fairly quickly. I don't think we're going to see a round 3 over there. I think Cyborg takes her out in 2.
Yeah, I'd say early mid of 2. Like the only way you can really beat Cyborg is you need to have a fucking good chin. You need to have fucking beautiful footwork and beautiful hands.
Yeah, you got to be able to put the pressure on her like Amanda did.
If you flip her entire fucking world and you're pressure forward before she can put pressure on you, she just fucking crumbles. She can't fucking do anything. And no woman fighter really can do that in any fucking promotion, let alone what they have in featherweight and Bellator.
These kids these days.
Where's Adam with that soundboard?
So that will bring us real quickly here into the next one I want to talk about. Before we jump into the UFC, I want to go over the UFC real quick and talk about Sunday's Submission Underground 23, because I'm not going to lie, this one is not as exciting as the last couple have been for me. And there's 2 different belts. I mean, technically there's 3, but there's 2 different categories of belts that are on the line this weekend. And still it's meh. But there are a couple that I do want to mention real quick. The tag team jiu-jitsu belt, which was unsanctimoniously and rigged, taken away from Team Simone, not Team ATT. during the last Submission Underground will be defended again, this time against an even clownier bunch of fucking clowns. So I'm not happy about that. Kind of a bullshit match in my opinion. Hashtag rigged. Hashtag rematch Team Simone. Hashtag Team Simone, not Team ATT. But there's also a very, very interesting match on the early portion of the card Sunday in Don Stoner taking on Richie the Boogeyman Martinez. That is basically the bull in the china shop versus the matador, if ever there was one. Don Stoner is good, but he is very much a powerhouse jiu-jitsu practitioner, whereas Richie Martinez is not known for his strength. He's not a huge dude, but he is made out of fucking silicone. That dude can bend himself in circles and tie his knots into knots. He's fucking dangerous. So that's going to be interesting as shit. We've got a quote-unquote celebrity matchup on this card, if you will. In the form of Jake Ellenberger stepping back into the Submission Underground world after getting his ass kicked 3 fucking times in a row to take on the natural born killer himself, Carlos Condit, who has no business in that ring either, for their celebrity main card matchup this coming weekend. That should be very interesting. And then we have got the main event. Kyle Chambers versus Mason Fowler for the absolute championship belt in Submission Underground. This is literally the same complaint I have had about Submission Underground for like the last 8 in a row. They are basically making poor Mason Fowler defend that fucking belt against anyone from any weight who has any wins. There's almost no sense of having to earn a title shot in Submission Underground anymore. If you want that belt from Mason, you basically just have to get a win on the card before he has an opening. This is a perfect example encased by the fact that on the prelim cards is Andy Varela, the guy who fought Mason for his belt last month, taking on Rafael Domingos, who is a relative unknown. So he went from a good win to fighting for the belt, which he lost, to back to fighting no ones. And now we've got Kyle Chambers, who had a decent win last time over a relative unknown, who is fighting for the belt this time. And then, much like I feel poor Andy Varela did, is going to lose and then end up fighting another relative unknown on Submission Underground 24. Hashtag and still Mason fucking Fowler owns that belt. That being said, that'll bring us into this weekend's UFC Fight Night Vegas. I think it's 29 now. I think it's Vegas 29 is what they're calling it. Font versus Garbrandt, essentially. Excuse me. I understand why they do this to a certain degree, but at the same time, I think at this point it would be better to have fights on standby not announced on the card than to announce 27 fights on a fucking card when you know damn well 15 of them aren't going to make it to fight night. This is another one of those where we've got 35 fights on the prelim and 43 on the goddamn main card, and we're only going to see a couple from both sections here. So opening round, obviously, I would love to see Damir Ismagulov beat the shit out of that lying fucking scumbag to open the fight. Yancy Medeiros is in there early, going to be interesting to watch as well. Court McGee finally getting to take on Claudio Silva, excuse me. It's going to be an interesting grappling match to keep an eye on. If you're in the Kenosha area, we told you this last weekend when TJ was still here. Do not go looking for the Crippler because he will be in Las Vegas taking on Chris Bennett. Ben Rothwell's busy this weekend kicking ass and taking names, hopefully getting another W in that fucking, or another chalk in the W column rather. Premier prelim fight. Ricardo Ramos versus Bill Algeo. Last time we saw Bill Algeo out, he did not need much time to make a pretty fucking strong impression. Ricardo Ramos has been a little hit and miss. He's kind of hot and cold lately. I'm not going to say it's going to be the most exciting fight on the card, but what I will say is if Ricardo Ramos doesn't have his shit together, Bill Algeo is going to push it in for him. Moving us right along.
I do want to drop one quick thing, mostly because Ben Rothwell and the Chris Barnett. I know who Chris Barnett is. He doesn't have a picture on a UFC website.
He's still listed as the not yet unlocked player on the UFC website.
So the UFC has him as Beast Boy, but I know him as Huggy Bear. Yeah, that's his old nickname. This is a guy who's fought like some of like, we're talking people that have retired out of the UFC and Bellator. Eric Prindell, the American Soldier. You know, Walt Harris fought Walt Harris back in the day. I watched that fight happen. This guy, like, they may have been young, but he has a fucking list of some of the legends of MMA out of Bellator and UFC on his belt, fucking name crossed off. Fucking he's going to be interesting seeing him come to the big leagues of the UFC. That's going to be
stepping up to the big plate and see how he swings. Yeah,
that's going to be interesting for him.
I do think that you should get your Twitter account fired up, though, because if he wins, I expect to see in the corner of the screen a little pop-up that says "Go Huggy Bear."
Dude, that's gonna be fucking interesting.
Yeah, you should definitely get your Twitter machine fired up this weekend, because I think that they would probably pull a couple of hashtag Go Huggy Bear tweets to throw up while he's fighting.
Yeah, he's now Beast Boy, but I knew him when he was Huggy Bear. That was back in like 2013, 2014, when I was up and coming in the MMA world. Yeah, that was back in the day.
Nice. So, moving along from there that will bring us to the opening of the main card itself. Not necessarily the most stacked card. We've told you guys before, the card before a pay-per-view and the card after a pay-per-view generally a little bit lax. This is one of those cards. The opening fight on the fucking main card is Jack Hermansson versus Edmund Shabazian. I like Jack Hermansson. I think the gatekeeper position right around 7 or 8 for him is going to be ideal. He doesn't quite have what it takes to go to the top, and we've seen that, but he's also not a soup can, and he's better than pretty much the bottom half of the top 15, in my opinion here. I think he smashes fucking Edmund and moves right back along and pretty much cements himself right where he is.
Yeah, if Edmund can be like pressure heavy, pressure forward, he might be able to shake Jack's game plan a little bit awry and have a possibility of getting a W. But like we've seen it time and time again, you can throw just the most hate in a fucking fist at Jack's jaw, and he'll stumble, but that man's fucking rock solid. That's battle tested and fucking so true.
Yeah. So that will bring us to what would have been Fresh's most excited fight for the card here. David Dvorak versus Julian Paiva. Basically, it's a couple of relatively unknown flyweights who are going to bang it the fuck out. Tiny dudes who are going to go. That's what that fight's going to be. Following up on that one, we get the fight that TJ and I and many other people have been complaining about for a month now, because this was originally scheduled to be Felicia Spencer welcoming the final signed natural featherweight into the UFC in Danielle Wolf. But Danielle Wolf got hurt a month and a half ago, and they pulled her out of that fight. So now we're fighting Felicia Spencer versus Norma Dumont, who has been trying to fight at 35 for almost a year and a half now and missed weight every single fucking time she has come to the octagon trying to hit 35. Obviously, she is a featherweight, but this isn't the fight we wanted or give a fuck about. So there is that. I expect Felicia Spencer to beat the dog shit out of Norma Dumont. I really do. That'll bring us into another one of these. Why are we watching these kind of fights? Justin Tava versus Jared Vanderaa. Don't get your hopes up, but if this one gets exciting, it's going to get exciting early and it's not going to last long. Otherwise, this is going to be a big man snooze fest. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I mean, with like Tafa's last couple of fights, they've been kind of interesting, but mostly because the person that is competing against is okay standing in a phone booth and just banging it the fuck out. I don't know if Vanderall is gonna be that guy.
Can you hear that?
Hear what?
The sound of clowns in the distance.
Oh, I can hear it. What is that? Oh shit. Oh shit.
This casual sound. This casual sound is just filling my ears.
It's kind of unbearable.
I'm here to punch some clowns, baby.
Don't fuck with the clown puncher,
We're
y'all.
ready.
With the fucking
You got a light weekend.
heavy mitts.
When you got a light weekend and you need a casual corner,
We got
we
the
get
casual
the
corner.
Casual corner, goddammit. So,
Ready.
for you folks who have not seen this segment before, we're bringing it back, goddammit. Casual corner here. We have got
Turn off
two
the
of our
stream.
most favorite casuals here
Oh my goodness.
to help us make some casual picks for this weekend's card coming up.
Go.
Oh, I got good picks.
Oh, yeah, I bet we do. So, first and foremost, we've got the co-main event. Jan Xiaonan versus Carlos Esparza. What do you say, gentlemen?
I'm
Oh,
gonna let the clown puncher take this one first.
he says Jan because she looks scary. Like I wouldn't want to punch her.
It's casual enough. I went slightly less casual. I looked at the numbers, and Jan's just got the better numbers. She's better at striking. She's better at defense, especially against takedowns. She has a 75% takedown defense. Esparza is averaging like 3.5 to 4 takedowns per match, and I don't think that's gonna cut it. Jan's got the reach. She's a little bit taller, and she's been known to go the distance. So I'm giving it to Jan for that one.
Nice.
I go with Jan
So
too.
that'll bring. So we got a double Jan pick from our casuals here, and that'll bring us to our main event for this weekend:
Ooh.
Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt.
Ooh.
Take it, puncher.
Yeah. I like a cocky asshole. So I'm gonna go with Cody because I like attitude. Because when you punch a clown, you got to have that attitude.
Man's got a valid point.
So I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to go with Font on this fight.
Even though Font's only fought, I believe 3 times in the past couple years due to injuries, sidelining him. He won those fights, including first round knockout. And other dude, Garbrandt, he had a 3-match losing streak before his last win, I believe. So yeah, I got to give it to Font for this one. It just, as a casual, not knowing both of them super well, yeah, I have to go with Font. It's my pick.
There you go, folks.
Looks like there's another one on my list.
Oh. Oh, shit. So we got double Yan predictions from our casuals here, and then a split call on the main card. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate your casual opinions.
Hells yeah. Thanks for having us.
See you later. I gotta get back to work.
Punching clowns ain't easy.
So if you're not a longtime viewer of the I'm No Joe show, I'm sure you're confused as fuck right now, and I love that just as much. If you are a longtime viewer of the I'm No Joe show, when you bring it back, you got to bring it back with authority, goddammit. So that was our reviving of our casual corner segment here, bringing in some of our favorite casual folks to make completely random and casual predictions for us. That being said, we're going to get a little deeper on it now here. So the first one we're going to talk about is our co-main event for this weekend. Saturday night's Yan Xiaonan taking on the former title holder and perennial title challenger, Carla Esparza. I'll give you the first word on this one, sir.
All right. So I like the way that Adam looked at it. He went by numbers. He went by the record. No, I can't fucking hate somebody that looks at overall fucking performances. I'm going to agree with them on Yan Xiaonan because she's just a little bit unorthodox. The way she fights, the way she goes in for her approaches are just a little bit unorthodox. They're a little bit weird to say the least. The only downfall is Yan. She takes one to give one. That's the only real downfall that she has. Stacking them up, she's better on the feet. She has just better hands than Esparza does. And Esparza is going to have a hell of a time getting Yan to the ground. She's going to have a hell of a time. She can do it if she sets it up right, but she's going to have a hell of a time keeping that woman on the ground to actually do work. So on this one, I have to go Yan Xiaonan.
Very understandable. I am as well. Unanimous decision across the fucking board here. Yan Xiaonan. I don't think she is quite to the level of a Weili Zhang yet, but she is absolutely China's next following suit, bringing her right up behind, and Jin Frey is right there with them as well. They have got some powerful fucking fighters in the UFC. Weili is still absolutely at the top. Her and Rose, I'm telling you right fucking now, are going to be going back and forth at the top of that division until one of them leaves. I'm calling that right fucking now. But we've got Jin Frey working her up behind there, and now we've got Yan Xiaonan working her way up through there as well. And I think at this point, Carla has lost too many steps. I actually got in a fight with some casuals about it on the fucking Instagram posts that the UFC made about it, but the reason Carla got the hype that she did was based on luck, and it's not based on her luck. It's based on the luck of the timing that her career fell into place. Because had Rose not had hair back then, if we had bald Rose back then instead of that fucking very beautiful long blonde haired girl named Rose Namajunas that nobody knew yet back then, had Joanna and Jacek been there to establish herself yet, Had Weili Zhang been there, had Andrade moved up to 125, I don't know that we ever would have seen a Carla Esparza get to the level that she did, but she did. The problem is that level was only where that belt stood for 3 months, and then she lost that shit immediately, and it proved basically that she was here. She was solidly here, but the division went from here to here real goddamn quick, and then never stopped climbing. And she's never moved. She's always been right here while the division just keeps going. So I think Yan Xiaonan, I don't know that she's got the power to stop Carla, because Carla does have a chin. Cookie Monster can take a fucking shot. I'll give her that. I don't know that Yan has the power to put her out, but I think she's going to basically control this whole goddamn fight. I think it's going to go to a decision. I have a feeling we're going to see a decision here, but I think it's going to be a decision after we watch Yan Xiaonan ragdoll Carla Esparza for 15 fucking minutes. That being said, that will bring us into this weekend's main event of the evening. See, live. The reason for the season, the marquee fight of the weekend, Rob Font versus the return of Cody Garbrandt. The reason that I named the episode what I did, is this going to be no problem, or are we back to no chin? First word's yours, sir.
Okay. This one's hard for me. One, because I like Cody. I like a little bit of Cody No Love. Mostly because he's just an asshole. He's just an asshole. The only problem I have with Font is people are hyping him up because he's a great fighter. He's a good fighter, but whenever you stack these guys up with the people they fought, Garbrandt is upper echelon of the fucking division for a minute. He's going against title holder after title holder. He's going in for fucking war. And then you get little Rob Fun over here who's getting people that you very easily can knock out, because Maurice, whenever they fought, that was a shell of who he was. That wasn't a proper Marlon Moraes. That wasn't proper. Whenever he what was it? The one that was before that, Simon, that was a pretty much a fucking a W in the making, trying to push me up the fucking ladder. Whenever you look at Cody, he's titled former, current, soon to be title holder of the division. He's going in wars one after another. So yeah, his chin got cracked a couple of times because he was going against some of the fucking best of the best in the division, and turns out he was going up against a couple of the best of the division on a little bit something, because quite a few of his W's were from people that were taking some steroids.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. I apologize, but man, whenever just stacking the ability, who they've competed with and how they've competed, I can't say no to Cody. I can't do it. I would love to see Cody come back in and assertively and dominantly put his foot down and be like, I'm back. I would love it. I'd want nothing more, because that's a cocky asshole who does what he says.
interesting. Very interesting. Get my Sylvester Stallone on here. So I will say this. I do try to make a point to give credit where credit is due, regardless of how I feel about the douchebag that we're talking about with the fucking horrible neck tattoo. I mean, in any given situation. But in this particular situation, I will say Cody, to his credit, has only recently lost to either title holders or title challengers. So there is that. That being said, Cody's problem has never been his competition. Cody's problem has always been his ego. When Cody gets in a fight, if you get in his head, you've already won. It doesn't matter if you get in his fight or get in his head at the press conference, or if you get in his head by whispering some shit talking to him as you're getting ready to touch gloves and fight. If you can get in Cody's head, you can live there rent free and you can control every aspect of his fight. He's real easy to marionette like that. Cody's problem has generally been that he has an uncle who was a Golden Gloves boxer who started training him very early on. So Cody has always had it in his head that he's a Golden Gloves boxer because his uncle, who was the Golden Gloves boxer, has been his boxing coach for most of his life. So Cody has it in his head that he's got the best hands in the UFC regardless. And he does have good hands. He's got pretty good hands. He really does. I'll give him that. The problem is he doesn't have anywhere near the best hands. And the problem further than that is that not only does he think he has the best hands, he thinks his hands are so good he doesn't have to be defensive about his fighting. He can just go all offense. Look for that opening. Get him. Look for the opening. Get him. He doesn't have to play defense. That's absolutely what cost him his last 3 losses. The issue is that same point almost cost him several victories before his 3 losses because Cody doesn't understand how to fight defensively, and Cody's chin is thinner than my fucking t-shirt. There's a reason we call him Cody No Chin instead of Cody No Love. He doesn't have to be hit hard, and he doesn't have to be hit clean, and we have seen him get the stanky leg on from the slightest little jab right there. Rob Font might not be a world breaker yet, but Rob Font does have good hands, and Rob Font does understand how to box defensively, as well as movement and countering and timing and precision. And those are all the things that we have seen Cody have his biggest issues with. So I think Cody's going to come out and he's going to try and Michael Chandler this shit. I really do. I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to try and charge. He's going to try and show how strong he is after all this time off. He's going to show that he can knock Font out and he should be back at the top of the conversation and blah, blah, fucking blah. I don't think he's going to come out sloppy, and I think Font's going to catch him, and I don't think Cody sees round 2. I think No Chin gets laid the fuck out in round 1. But the thing about MMA is that the only way to be sure, the only way to know if that's actually how things are going to play out is going to be to tune in this weekend and to find out for yourself. Because that's all we've got for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. So before we get out of here, I do want to take just a moment here and thank this fine young man for spending his evening talking shit and breaking down this shenanigan with me here. So if folks at this point have not had enough of the young gunner and they want to get on the routine, they want to learn the regiment, they want to get on the official level, how can they track you down after the show, Mr. RJ?
You can always find me over there at Instagram at RJ MMA Official. Come talk some shit with me. I'm gonna start posting a lot of stuff on there because now we are officially back in fights. Ohio is now officially officially letting us do combat sports. they said this late last year, but then they shut it back down. But as of now, we're starting to get back into fights coming up in the middle of July and in June. So it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be able to post a whole bunch of fun shit on Instagram. And of course, thank you for having me. Love being here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciate it. So, that being said, again, thank you to our favorite casuals for the pop in and their breakdowns this evening as well. If you want to follow the show, we are on basically all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, all at I'm No Joe. Instagram, I'm No Joe, also gives the link, if you haven't seen yet, as well as the Facebook, I believe. I'm pretty sure they should be the same posts. To the live version of the show here in video format every Thursday night for the most part. It's for you to come over and catch us on I'm No Joe, YouTube/I'm No Joe. Words. See, we're doing it live. But if you are, understandably, tired of this,
Discord,
I have them here, and I can get there. You can also catch the show in the all audio format through your podcast consumption platform of choice through anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. And as the young kid finally remembered to throw in again, if you haven't yet, join up in our newly formed I'm No Joe Discord server, where I drop some of the weird news links that just don't quite make it to the show, interesting little tidbits and funny memes and whatnots. If you really do enjoy the show, patreon.com/I'm No Joe to help support, get your name on the end of the show, get you access to the behind the scenes shit, the unaired shit, the unairable shit that we can't put up here. And it really just helps us do what we do around here, and we appreciate you. That being said, we're going to call it all for this particular episode. So if you enjoyed what we do around here, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit the little bell so you don't miss an episode. If we're just a couple of fuck ups, talking out our ass with clown punchers randomly popping in and out of a fucking show, give us a thumbs down, because we earned it and we won't dispute it. That being said, we are going to call it all for this particular episode. So till next time, folks, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless you really thought they weren't going to find everybody out who went to the Epstein Island.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh.